Okay, now we're going to talk about my second harmony page called Major Scale Harmony 2. And in this is, again, picking apart a major scale. And we're going to look at units that we call tetrachords. Now, tetrachord is 4 tones of a scale, like C, D, E, F, and that's what you're going to see on the first fretboard chart. You'll see linearly, and that's the best way to look at a scale when we're trying to see the steps that are in the scale. So a tetrachord, the first tetrachord starts on the tonic note of C, and that's the key of C, and we call that the tonic tetrachord, and it's C, D, E, F, and just get used to that pattern and play it up and down and try to see, do you see the steps in the tetrachord? They're not all the same. When you skip a fret, that's called a whole step. So this is a whole step, and then you go another whole step, skipping a fret, and then you go to the very next fret. When you do that, that's called a half step. So, and it's also called a semitone. So you got a whole tone, and then a whole tone, and then a semitone. And the semitone, you'll play third finger to fourth finger. So it's first to third finger, shift the third finger 2 frets, and then play the fourth finger. Fingering is very important at this stage. We don't want to just make up any fingering, because then we're going to get all confused. You want to use the same fingering when you go down, like you want to go 1, 3, 3, 4 with the fingers. You don't want to go back down going 4, 3, 1, 1. You want to go 4, 3, 3, 1. Up and down. You shift your third finger. 1, 3, 3, 4, 4, 3, 3, 1. And try to see the steps in the tetrachord. It's very simple, really. It's 2 whole steps and 1 half step. Okay? Now, on that same fretboard chart, you have, and you see a big arrow, it's called the dominant tetrachord. When we play the 5th tone of a scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's the dominant note. It's just what it's called. And this is the tonic note. So if we play a dominant chord to a tonic chord, it's a resolution that we call a cadence. And it's a very common resolution and to end a song or to end a phrase. And you hear it all the time. It's like a magnet from the dominant chord back to the tonic chord. It doesn't sound complete until you resolve it to the tonic chord. So the 5th note of a major scale is called the dominant note, and it resolves to the tonic. So our second tetrachord starts on G, which is the 5th fret of the 4th string, and you play it exactly like you did the tonic tetrachord starting on C. It's whole step, first to third finger, shift your third finger 2 frets, and then add your 4th finger. So it's 1, 3, 3, 4. So it's like whole step, half step. Learn to go up and down that tetrachord. Okay? So now what I think of the way tetrachords are the key to understanding how we go from one sharp key to another sharp key, or how we go from one flat key to another, like a key with one flat to a key with two flats, or a key with one sharp to a key with two sharps. So they're like bricks, and they're identical bricks. This tetrachord is an identical pattern as this tetrachord. Okay? And so we're kind of studying the patterns in a major scale. Now, what complicates things a little bit is that there is an extra whole step between the two tetrachords. So you'll go whole step, half step, and then when you go from this pinky note to the G, from the F to the G, that's an extra whole step between the two tetrachords. But right now, we're not even going to think about that extra whole step. It's there, and you should be aware of it, but we're not going to dwell on it. We're dwelling on the pattern within each tetrachord. Same exact pattern. Think of them like identical bricks. And if you have identical bricks and you're building a house, you can take one brick and replace it with another brick. And so that's what we can do with these tetrachords. And you'll see they're the key to understanding all keys, different keys that we play in, like the key of C, the key of E, and you'll eventually know that the key of E has 4 sharps, and we'll study all that as we go. So now we've played each tetrachord separately. Sorry, and it's late. So now we're going to play them both together as one big scale. So we're going more the length of the fretboard so that we can see the scale laid out in frets and intervals. And the way the tetrachords, like the first one melts into the second one, it just fits right under the fingers. You go 1, 3, 3, 4, and where your first finger naturally goes to the next string. You don't have to shift anywhere. It just fits like a glove. Okay? So that's the first chart. Now, the next 2 charts are major scale harmonized in thirds. And we talked about triads, and the intervals that make up a triad are thirds. And there are 2 types of thirds. Do you remember what they are? You have a major third, like from C to E. You know, it's like the Sound of Music song. And then the second note of the scale. So it's D to F. And so C to E is 2 whole steps. That's a major third. If we play it like a chord, that's the same as these 2 notes lengthwise played as a chord. It's a major third. Now if I went whole step, half step, that would be a minor third, C to E flat. So C to E is a major third, C to E flat is a minor third, but that would not be in this key of C major, that minor third. I'm just showing you the difference in the shape, fingers 1 and 2, right on adjacent frets, and then these are 2 frets apart, but they're on 2 different strings. So it's not a whole step, it's a step and a half. Okay, so now what we're going to do is take this first tetrachord and we're going to harmonize it in major and minor thirds. And you can't just do any combination of major and minor thirds. You have to conform to the notes of the scale. So we're doing a major third, fingers 1 and 2, to a minor third, fingers 3 and 1, and then a minor third, 3 and 1, and then this major third we're going to do fingers 3 and 2. And it's very important not to do 2 and 1, but to do 3 and 2 on that third. So going up again, it's major third, minor third, minor third, major third, okay? And you want to train your pick to maybe do a rest stroke over 2 strings. You're playing 2 strings and resting against the third string, so you're not hitting a whole bunch of strings. You could do pick and finger. That's another video. I'll get into that more like that. So we're harmonizing in thirds, and it's a pattern of very easy to remember: major, minor, minor, major. Just remember you're refingering this major third with fingers 3 and 2. There's a reason for that, because when we go to the next tetrachord, we're going to keep 2 down and lift 3 and move 2 frets with finger 2 and add 1, and you'll have the same pattern on G. So the next chart is the G tetrachord, the dominant tetrachord, harmonized in thirds, and it's also exactly the same: major, minor, minor, major. So you have the first tetrachord, which is major, minor, minor, major, and then major, minor, minor, major. Okay? And then when you do them separately and go up and down like to where you get accustomed to where you're not totally confused by the shapes, okay? So, and then put both tetrachords together, and when you get to that that point between the end of this tetrachord to the beginning of the next tetrachord, realize that you can just shift your second finger laterally 2 frets and then add the first finger on top of it, and it's real smooth, you know? So that's the whole scale played in thirds. So you could do it just sort of strumming them with the pick, or you could do pick and fingers. I like to do pick in the A finger. We call that hybrid picking. Just remember the finger should follow through into the palm. You don't want to do this kind of like, you know, that's kind of superficial. You want to really dig into the strings. So that's the second and third charts at the top part of the page. And then at the bottom part of the page, you have 2 charts doing the first tetrachord in triads and then doing the second tetrachord in triads. And it's not going to be as simple as the thirds. The thirds were easy. It's major. And don't forget the pattern: major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major. Okay? This is major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major. Now when I play the 2 tetrachords in triads, it's a major triad, a minor triad, a minor triad, and a major triad. And then it's the second tetrachord are going to be different shapes because of the tuning of the second and third strings is different from all the others. So different shapes. It's major, minor, which has a bar chord, and then a diminished triad. Remember talking about all the triads, the 4 types of triads? You have major, minor, diminished, and augmented. Now in the natural major scale, there is no augmented triad, but there is a diminished, and it's on the 7th chord, the 7th tone of the scale, right before you get to the octave. So it's, and we call these chords, like in the key of C, the 1 chord, the 2 chord, the 3 chord, the 4 chord, and I should say what they are, the quality of the chord. The 1 chord is major, the 2 chord is a minor triad, the 3 chord is a minor triad, the 4 chord is a major triad, and then the 5 chord is a major triad, and then the 6 chord is a minor triad, the 7 chord is a diminished triad, and then major. Well, you think, well, why not make that diminished triad? It's kind of like a minor triad with a flat 5th. But if I played a minor triad, it would have an F sharp in it, which is not in the key of C, and this was what it would sound like. See, it doesn't sound right? So on the 2nd tetrachord, we can't just do major, minor, minor, major. It has to be major, minor, diminished, major. Okay, maybe that sounds weird as well, but it conforms with the notes in the C scale, which are all natural notes, no sharps or flats. But when you're doing triads, it's more complex because we have that 3rd element, that 3rd note, which makes a 3rd on top of a 3rd, plus a 5th between the 1st and the 3rd note. It's confusing, I know. The 1st and the 3rd note makes a perfect 5th. So that's where, it adds that third factor, which makes it much more complex harmonies than if you're just doing thirds. So that's thirds. These are triads. And some of these shapes, like this D minor, that's the 1st chord in the Bach chaconne, but for our purposes in rock guitar, we're probably hardly ever going to play that shape. But we're studying the theory, so we're taking all the notes and moving them up uniformly and seeing the different shapes. There are other ways to play these chords that are more like what we would normally do, like if I did this. That would be major, minor, minor, major, and full bar chords. But here we're studying the theory. So, and these pinky, 2nd finger, and that seems awkward. So it is a little bit. So realize that, and but embrace it. Okay, embrace the awkwardness, and you'll enjoy it. Okay. So that's all that we really need to discuss, I think, in that we're studying not only a major scale, and we're picking apart the tetrachords, the simple little cell of what is the 1st half of the scale, and then the 2nd half of the scale is an identical cell that we call a tetrachord. And then we're harmonizing it. This should be a wonderful light bulb moment for you. I know how to harmonize a scale now, right? I'm showing it to you. Here it is. Oh, sorry. You'll make mistakes, I do. And then triads. So we're studying the guitar fretboard much like we would study a piano keyboard. And that's one thing, again, going back to my college theory that I took. Actually, I took a similar college theory to a college theory course my whole last year of high school. So I already had like 2 semesters of college theory by the time I went to college. And it was just review because I went to vocational school for two years studying electronics between high school and college. And I was like 23, I think about 23 years old when I started as a freshman in college. And everybody else was 18, and I felt like the old guy, you know. And now I'm really an old guy, but I never, you know, it was hard for me to relate college theory and analytical theory to the fretboard of the guitar. And that's what I'm doing for you in this fretboard theory course, is showing you how to relate it to the guitar. You might not be a piano player. Maybe you play piano and you can study it on piano and apply it to the guitar. I've known people who do that, but I never was much of a piano player. I had to learn some piano in college and passive piano proficiency, and but then I never did anything with the piano beyond that. And today I can't play piano really. You know, I understand it, but you know, I just don't practice it or play it. But so that's sort of our purpose here in fretboard theory. I don't impose theory on students who don't want it. Some students don't see any point in learning theory. It's sort of like learning the names of the bones in your, like these 3 bones in your forefinger. They have names. I don't know what they are, but if you're studying medicine, you have to know that. And if you're studying music, it is very helpful. If you write songs, if you compose music, it's helpful to know music theory. It's not the key to creativity. Really, there's not really much creativeness about the theory itself, but it can give you ideas and give you direction in your personal creativity of creating living music. Okay, so enjoy this. This is the second theory lesson in harmony, Harmony 2. Harmony 3 is going to be the same as Harmony 2, but a different key with different shapes. We'll do the key of F in the next sheet, okay? So have fun with this. Subscribe to my channel here. Like this video, especially if you got something out of it. Go ahead and hit the like button, and also like my Facebook page, and visit me on Instagram. I am now on Instagram, but just barely at this stage. Maybe by the time you see this video, I'll have a full Instagram thing going. I've got 3 things going at once. Okay, so we'll see you on the next one. All right.